Please allow me to remind you that the presenters must have their video switched on whilst presenting. During the Q&A session, if the audience asking questions, they are also required to turn the video on. I think that's all for the session introductions. Let's begin with the first presenters. I would call Niken Anggraini and Romadani Ardi with a paper entitled Conceptual Model for Millennial Talents Retention in Indonesia's Manufacturing Industries. Please welcome Niken Anggraini and Romadani Ardi.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Niken. I would like to present my research with Dr. Romadani Ardi with the title Conceptual Model for Millennial Talents Retention in Indonesia's Manufacturing Industries. Next. Next. This is the outline of my presentation. Next. Next. The background of the research is Indonesia has 88 million millennial population, and it's equivalent with 50.36% of millennial talents. So it means that millennial talents are dominating the labor market. For example, in PT Astra International Tbk, it reveals that 70% of 250,000 their employees are millennials. Next. And why we want to focus in manufacturing industry? Because Indonesia's manufacturing industries contributes to 20.27% national economy. And this industry faces some challenges like they have to compete in global manufacturing. However, if the companies doesn't want to invest in skilled talent and only care about acquiring talents with low paycheck, it will fail to step up to higher sophisticated industries. Because sophisticated manufacturing industries require a creative and skilled young generation, and the only available resources that we have is millennial talents. And the second one is we're having problems because to retain millennial talents in manufacturing industry because some of the reason. The first one is shifting view from manufacturing to service industries. And also manufacturing characteristic itself, like there's a paradigm of dirty factory work and also level of safety. So this can be a reason why millennials want to consider to pursue a long-term career in this kind of industry. Next. Another problem is millennial talents itself. Millennial love job hopping. Indonesia's industry turnover rate is 10%. One of the biggest FMCG revealed that they reach 20% of turnover rate for their management trainee program. And a survey which was conducted in 2011 with respondent millennial talents who are still having a job show that 43% of them are still looking for new job actively, while only 38% of them are not looking for open to new opportunity, while only 80% say that they want to stay at the current work. And the ideal duration of millennial talents to work in company is only 3 to 5 years. They don't want to stay in a company more than 5 years. Next. Next. This is our work preference of millennial talents. Millennial talents have characteristics towards work that are different from previous generations, such as they are familiar with high technology and they use social media intensively. And they can be motivated by career development activities, while previous generation can be motivated by promotion and money. Next. Next. Okay, this is some of the characteristics of millennial. And based on the survey about career expectation of 20,000 Canadian millennial undergraduate university student result that having career advancement is the most desirable factor for millennial to choose a career, followed by having good college and supervisor to help them grow, while traditional factors such as pay, benefits, and security is in the middle. And commitment to social responsibility is the least preferable factor. Next. Okay, now we're going to talk about turnover intention. So there are two types of turnover intention. The first one is voluntary intention, and then the second one is involuntary turnover intention. Voluntary intention is usually coming from the employee, while the involuntary turnover is coming from the employer. There are several factors that can affect employee turnover, such as personal factor, organization and work factors, and social and economic factors. Turnover intention can give benefits, for example, to change incompetent talents, while mostly it gives disadvantages such as financial loss and also knowledge loss. That's why many companies tend to avoid high turnover rate. Next. There are factors that can affect the turnover intention. Researchers explain that employee satisfaction have high correlation with turnover intention because when employees are satisfied with their job, researcher believes that it can reduce their turnover intention of those employees. Next. And there are factors that can affect the employee satisfaction. One of them is competency development. Because millennials are long life learners, say they always craft for advancement in their career. Next. And the second factor is work-life balance. Basically, work-life balance is strategies to help the employee to balance their private life with their work life. And work-life balance also have correlation with employee satisfaction. Next. Next, please. Okay. Previous slide. Okay. Compensation and benefit. This is the traditional factors, but we need to consider this factor because millennials need good paycheck to support their lifestyle. Next. And meaningful work. Meaningful work is described as a sense of higher purpose, a value that one pursue and shared responsibility between employers and employees. Because millennials have characteristic that they want to be meaningful and give positive impact to the world. That's why we include this factor to this research. Next. Here is the methodology. Next. Okay, there are two methods to conduct this research. The first one is literature review, and then the second one is semi-structured interview to validate the model. Next.
You have 3 minutes left.
Yeah. This is summary of literature review. We highlighted some factors that can influence the turnover intention of millennial employees, so this factor can be used to retain them. There is a work-life balance, competency development, compensation and benefit, and also employee satisfaction. Next. The novelty of the research is because most of the research are done in a developed country and not yet focused specifically in manufacturing. Next. This is the proposed hypothesis of my research. Okay, next. Well, next. So here's the conceptual model. As I mentioned before, there are 4 factors. That is competency development, compensation and benefits, work-life balance, and meaningful work, which can give impact to employee satisfaction, while employee satisfaction will give direct impact to the turnover intention. We construct the model by first we review many research papers related to millennial talents. Then to validate the model, we ask help from the expert by showing them our finding factors based on literature review and let them answer some question and fill the questionnaire. The expert also give advice about the study based on their knowledge and experience. The first expert is manager inclusive of diversity and employer branding in one of the biggest FMCG manufacturer, and the second expert is a head of human resource department of a reputable university in Indonesia.
1 minute
Next.
left.
Okay. Here's the conclusion of the research. Turnover has been a challenging problem facing by manufacturing industries in Indonesia, mostly because the high turnover rate, which is caused by millennial talents. On the other hand, millennial talents are the only available talents which can fill the talent shortage in manufacturing industries. Therefore, it is essential to identify factors which can motivate and retain millennial talents to pursue a long-time career in this industry. We consider this factor, competency development, compensation and benefits, work-life balance, and meaningful work mediated by employee satisfaction can affect the turnover intention. By considering this factor, a company can design strategic programs to retain them. And the next future research, we will focus on the empirical study to test the hypothesis. Thank you.
All right, I think that's already 10 minutes for presentations. Let's begin with the Q&A sessions. I'll welcome first the audience. Do you have any questions?
Okay, I have a question for Niken Anggraini.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Niken Anggraini, are you a millennial? Okay, so as a millennial, I guess I want to ask you about your opinion about the factors, which factors that make you pursue a long-term career in a company, and maybe if you work in manufacturing company, you can specifically explain about the factors.
Okay, thank you, Baby Alexa, for the question. In my opinion, as a millennial, I think I may consider factors like competency development. If I still see there is an opportunity for me to grow in a company, I will consider to pursue a long-time career in that company. And also maybe I need a supervisor, and I can say like a good mentor to guide me to guide me to take the right path of my career.
Okay,
That's
so
my opinion. Yeah.
Those vectors in your research are specifically from manufacturing company or as the general company?
Specifically in manufacturing company, because in my experience, I'm working in manufacturing company. In a manufacturing, to create a good talent and skilled young generation, we need many training for them, because especially technical, specifically technical, we need to train them, because many things maybe doesn't cover enough. They doesn't cover enough in university program.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, is that all the questions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the questions. I think we have 1 minute left. Do you want address one's issue or not from the audience?
I want to ask a question.
Okay, please make it simple.
Okay, why didn't you use the Generation X for the comparison?
Okay, because right now the dominating generation that dominate the labor market is millennial talents, and if I'm talking about Generation X, the Generation X, I guess it will soon retire, maybe around 5 to 10 years, they will soon retire, and this Generation X and the millennial will change the position of this Generation X. So I want to focus in the generation which are dominating the labor market right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions. This is the first presenter with fruitful discussions. Please give it applause, online applause perhaps. very much. Okay, Niken, you can continue the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Let's begin with the second presenters. Please welcome Dineka Putri, Andri Setiawan, and Ahmad Hidayatna with the paper entitled A Conceptual Model to Maintain Pilgrims' Trust and Loyalty, a System Dynamics Approach.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Ivanu, for the time. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to present my paper entitled A Conceptual Model to Maintain Pilgrims' Trust and Loyalty, a System Dynamic Approach. Next, please. Indonesia is the country with the largest Muslim population in the world. 87% of Indonesia population are Islam believer. In the belief of Islam, there are 5 key pillars, namely Shahada, Salat, Saum, Zakat, and Hajj. I would like to focus on Hajj. Hajj is pilgrimage to holy city of Mecca. It is considered an obligation at least once in a lifetime for all Muslims who are physically and financially capable, which can be performed once a year in a season of Hajj. Because it can only be performed once a year, Saudi Arabia government gives quota for each country containing how many of their citizens are able to perform Hajj that year. It also affects the regulation of Hajj registration in Indonesia. Next, please. Yeah. This is the infographics about the waiting time at each province in Indonesia. As you can see, we have to wait for at least 11 years to get the chance of Hajj. Moreover, during Hajj, we have to stay at Saudi Arabia for at least 3 until 4 weeks, which requires large funds. So there are 2 limitations in performing Hajj. First is the long registration queues, and second is the high cost. And it triggers Muslim to perform Umrah, which is done voluntarily, or Sunnah for Muslim, which can be performed anytime besides during the day of Hajj. Umrah has a similar but different ritual from Hajj. And based on Indonesia Constitution about special Hajj and Umrah management, pilgrimage can be performed individually or in groups by PPIU. PPIU itself is an abbreviation of Penyelenggara Perjalanan Ibadah Umrah. They are the Umrah travel organizers who have received permission from the Indonesia Ministry of Religious Affairs to organize citizens' Umrah trips. Next, please. As reported by the Ministry of Religious Affairs, there were 1.1 million pilgrims from Indonesia at 2018, and the Umrah package start at 20 million rupiah. It reached a total of 20 trillion rupiah of market value, which later arise the attractiveness of Umrah market and lead to mushrooming travel agents. Based on the Ministry of Religious Affairs data, there were 906 PPIUs in April 2018. As for the information, unlicensed travel agents also take part in the market, and this causes intense competition among one another, and it leads to a fraud loophole done by irresponsible travel agents. Next, please. Since 2017, there has been several fraud cases that have shocked Indonesia, and these are the 5 big fraud cases that became public attention. As you can see, fraud brings huge economic and social loss. One of them is damaging the reputation of pilgrimage business, which is becoming a challenge to licensed travel agents or PPIU to maintain its customer trust in using their services. Because pilgrimage system involves various stakeholders and regulators, this has been a complex and crucial issue in Indonesia. Next, please. Furthermore, many parties are demanding the government of Indonesia to quickly, decisively, and intensely supervise Umrah business since the victims of fraud are occurring everywhere. The VP of MUI stated that there must be a regulation that regulates so that there are guarantees of security, safety, and comfort for Muslims of Indonesia in implementing Umrah. Such issue needs to be handled by employing holistic approach that can capture the complexity and the dynamics of the system in order to generate a comprehensive and plausible solution to address the issue. Next, please. These are previous research on the field of pilgrimage. Next, please. This study proposed a systemic analysis that aims to develop a conceptual model which can be used to identify and analyze the system structure and process as the basis for understanding the complex problem of pilgrimage system in Indonesia. Later on, it can be used for exploring alternative policy to maintain customer trust and loyalty in using Umrah tour services. Next, please. The first step to understand a complex system is conceptualizing the model. A model which defines system boundary, key variables, stakeholders, and the problem owner, and also illustrate the transformation from inputs to output is needed. So in order to facilitate them all, this study used a system diagram which has causal loop diagram within. Next, please. Indonesia pilgrimage system has various stakeholders involved who have specific roles and responsibilities. Government of Indonesia expect a system where the citizen can safely choose any PPIU, accommodating them to go to Umrah without worrying of becoming a fraud victim. And the other stakeholders are influencing the system and expected to positively leverage the policy measures taken by the problem owner. Next, please. And this is the system diagram which visualizes the conceptual model. The study proposed some policies intervention that can be done by the government of Indonesia as the problem owner, whose desire is maintaining the level of trust and loyalty of pilgrims in using Umrah travel services. They are minimum price regulation, good travel agency campaign, departure inspection, departure insurance, and also monitoring and evaluation of PPIU's performance. And the input variable or external factor of the system are ticket price, land arrangement cost, and Umrah visa fee. And last, to measure the achievability of the goals, we set two output indicators, namely repeat purchase, administrational supervised jamaah, repeat purchase and administrational supervised jamaah.
You have 3 minutes left.
Thank you. Next, please. This is the causal loop diagram, which is used to portray the structure of the system. It consists of variable and arrow to depict the relationship between variable. And each arrow has polarity, whether it is directly or inversely proportional. As you can see, it can capture dynamics in the system, where variables are continuously giving feedback to each other. Next, please. From this study, we can conclude that the pilgrimage system is a complex system that requires involvement from various stakeholders. With a large Muslim population, the system becomes a central system which got much public attention when problem occurs. Therefore, the issue of Umrah fraud is an issue that needs to be addressed by Indonesia government immediately, since it caused substantial economic loss and damage the reputation. Eventually, this study offers a broader view of pilgrimage system in Indonesia, starting from analyzing all stakeholders associated to the system, then it's finalized by forming conceptual model where government of Indonesia is acting as the problem owner. While other previous research focus on matters which are beneficial to the Umrah travel agency, The study proposed a model which captured not only pilgrims' generation process, but also pilgrims' protection under the government. Moreover, the model is favorable for the government as the policymakers. Next, please. And for the next step, we can build a stock flow diagram from the model. So we can simulate the process, and it can help decision maker or the problem owner understand the impact and the relationship of critical factor in the system to the pilgrim's trust and loyalty. Next, please. This marks the end of my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the presentations. Now, I'll welcome questions from the audience. Is there any question from the audience?
Yes, from me.
Okay, Ms. Olivia, please turn on the video.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I want to ask something in slide 12 maybe about causal loop diagram. How do you construct the causal loop diagram?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Miss Olivia. To start the construction of the model, I use the bus diffusion model as the basis, but bus diffusion model with repeat purchase rate. Why use the BDM with repeat purchase rate? Because one sign of loyalty is there is a repeat order from the customer. So because it can indicates that the customer become a loyal customer to us, then they will repeat to use our services. So first I use the BDM with the repeat purchase, and then I consult with the PPIU, and then to as the verification, I also consult with the Ministry of Religious Affairs to make sure that this model is reasonable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions and the clear answer. Anything else from the audience? We still have 3 minutes, I guess. Okay, please, if there is no additional question from the audience, I don't have questions. I just want to have confirmations about the model presented. So basically, use assess how the business of Umrah affecting the Jama'ah of pilgrims.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're using bus diffusion model as main drivers of new Jama'ah registered in the Umrah business, and the successful or the unsuccessful transactions of those business will create a brand image and make the people wants to have a pilgrims with this with the successful one, the business.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think that's clear. Okay.
Okay.
Inika, you can conclude your presentation.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I hope my conceptual model can be useful academically and practically. And wassalamualaikum, good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, we already have 2 presenters. Please welcome the 3rd presenters, Olivia Bunga and Amalia Suzianti, with the paper entitled An Application of Taguchi Method for Process Optimization of Moringa oleifera leaves obtained by ultrasound assisted extraction. Please welcome Ms. Olivia.
Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Olivia and I'm a master student in the Department of Industrial Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. Today, I would like to talk to you about my research using one techniques in design of experiment, or we known as DOE. My presentation title today is an application of Taguchi method for process optimization of Moringa oleifera leaves obtained by ultrasound assisted extraction. And next, please. First of all, I will explain about the plant Moringa in introduction, and then I will continue with materials and method, and then result and discussion. And to finish, I will explain the conclusion and future research. Next. The aim of this present work was to investigate the effect of major process parameters. Those are extraction time, solvent to solid ratio, and ethanol concentration on the yield and total phenolic compound from Moringa leaves by employing the Taguchi method. Next. Moringa, or in Indonesia, known as daun kelor, is an Indian herb belonging to the family Moringaceae, has been used as a herbal medicine in many countries. The nutritious vegetables can be found in leaves, fruits, and seeds. Over the past few decades, its leaves have been the subject of studies in various fields such as antifungal agent, cosmetic, food thickening, pharmaceutical, and nutritional supplement. Next. The background of this research are because in the last 2 decades, the industry players have expressed the desire to make efficient extraction technique. And ultrasound assisted extraction, or UAE, is an affordable alternative to other extraction technique due to low instrumental requirements. And the third reason is because ultrasound proposes a mechanical effect allowing greater perforation of solvent into the sample foam, increasing the contact surface area between the solid and liquid phase. Next. This is the picture of the conventional extraction and the ultrasound extraction tool. In the conventional extraction, we can see that the tools, the equipments are more complex and need more spaces. And in the ultrasound extraction tools, it is simple and easy to use. Next. For the materials I use for this research, I use ethanol and methanol, or we know it as alcohol, and some reagents for analytical purposes. The diagram on the right side shows the sequence of the process. First, Moringa leaves dried and then grained, and about 2 grams of dried leaves was loaded into a flask, and the extraction was carried out with a designed solid to liquid ratio, extraction time, and ethanol concentration using ultrasonic device. After that, the solution cooled and filtrated. The extract then concentrated at 50 degrees under vacuum. Then it is used for determining the yield and total phenolic compound. Next, please. So this is the factors and the levels used in this experience. There are 3 factors and 3 levels. Here I use a statistical analysis performed by Minitab. For the data were analyzed by analysis of variance, or ANOVA, and the mean value were considered significantly different when probability is lower than 0.05. The S per N ratio, created as a basic statistic criteria for the assessing performance indicator, and the signal is additionally called a controllable factor and represent the real world taken from the system. The noise is an uncontrollable factors and represent the extent of the undesired factor in the test outcome. Next. The first box shows how to calculate the percentage of yield, and the second box shows how to analyze the TPC count using a standard curve of gallic acid. The table in the right side exhibit the result of the process. Next. Okay, so in the left figure shows the main effect plot of yield. From the table, we can see that the concentration of alcohol was the key factor influencing the yield because the p-value is below 0.05. For this research, we use confidence level 95%. And based on the figure at the right side, rising the ethanol concentration causes increasing the total phenolic compound. The solvent to solid ratio factor doesn't show any significant change, and the p-value for the alcohol is 0.0646, which is below 0.05. Next, please. Okay, so I have three conclusions for this research. First, the result of this research enable to recognize important factors influencing the yield of the extraction and the total phenolic compound. And the second, ethanol concentration was the most important factor in this study. And the third, high ethanol concentration caused the greater in total phenolic compound. Nevertheless, the yield obtained was larger if the ethanol concentration was low. The amount of yield produced is not greatly influenced by time and solvent to solid ratio. For the future research, the time spent in this extraction process should be longer to better understand the extent of the effect of time on the result. And next future research is, this research can contribute, sorry, can you back to the first, yep, previous. This research can contribute to the following step of Moringa oleifera in producing yield and evaluating the bioactive compound with the purpose of shorten process time and minimize the solvent. Next. All right, thank you. That's all my presentation.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. Well, we have a design of experiments research on the third presentations. I'll welcome first question from the audience. Anyone have questions, please? Okay, Dineka, you want to ask questions?
Yes.
Yes, please.
For the research, Miss Olivia, why did you use Taguchi, not full factorial design for the DOE? That's my question.
Okay. Thank you for your question. Why I use Taguchi method in this research, because Taguchi is a powerful tools for assessing optimal process parameters if operating parameters influence operation, because the number of parameters can be reduced using Taguchi. With my experiment, when I use a full factorial design, I have to do about 27 experiments compared with Taguchi with only 9 experiments. So it is more economical to conduct the Taguchi method.
Okay. So it will take shorter time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The time and also the money and some apparatus or materials can be reduced when using Taguchi. And I think that the result is almost the same when using Taguchi or full factorial design. Actually, Taguchi is a part of fractional factorial design.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's the first questions. Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. If there is no additional question, I'll have one additional little questions. In the conclusion, it is suggested that the time span of the extraction process should be longer. In this experiment, you are using level of time spent for the extraction process. So if the suggestion suggests it needs a longer extraction process, how long do you think will have a significant impact on the yield?
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, in industry, while using with big capacity, for instance, about 200 kilograms of materials, we it takes about 2 hours to extract all the materials. But here I only have 2 grams, so I think that it needs more. The time will be decreased.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, maybe I need more than 30 minutes. For example, maybe 1 hour until 2 hours.
So that's in proportion with the amount of materials processed, because the larger the materials, the larger it requires extraction time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It should be like that.
Okay, I think that's clear. Okay, I think that's all for the third presentation. You can conclude the presentation, please.
Okay, everyone, thank you for your attention. This is the end of my presentation. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day too. Okay, let's begin with the 4 presenters. Rina Fitriana Rahmawati and Amalia Suzianti with the paper entitled Identifying Hazard and Risk Management in Hazardous Process of Making Prosthesis and Orthosis. Okay.
Thank you. May I start now, Mr.
Yes,
Irfan?
please.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, you can start.
All right, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet all of you here to present my paper, which is entitled The Identifying Hazard and Risk Assessments in Hazardous Process of Making Prosthesis and Orthosis. And then I conduct research together with Ibu Amalia Suzianti from Universitas Indonesia. Next, please. The agenda for today's presentations, the first is introductions, the background, the third is risk management, continue with the research methodology, result, and the last one is I will summarize the paper. Next, please. Yeah, without further ado, I want to introduce you about the prosthetics and orthotics. I'm so sorry, this one is the presentations. It is not updated one. This one is not the updated one. I'm sorry. Yeah, I sent the updated presentation on 14th of June.
Okay, please wait a second. We'll update the presentation. Okay, Rina.
Yes.
I've checked with the committee. We don't have any slides because just only 2 slides. Do you have your updated slides ready?
Yeah.
Do
So
you mind if you share the screen for your
okay.
presentations?
Yeah. All right. Do you mind to close the sharing screen first, please?
Okay. Okay, can you already, I think you can share your.
All right. Is it, everyone can see the slides now?
Already?
All right. Thank you very
Okay,
much. So,
please resume.
all right. So I begin with the introductions of the prosthesis and orthosis. So the prosthesis is actually the artificial limb for individual with physical disabilities, and this one is a custom-made device. So we simply, if somebody lost their legs, so we make another leg for them, which is external body devices inserted to the external parts of the body, and this one is like a general processes for everyone, and we also can make some kind of a custom-made devices for the athlete, and also custom devices for the persons who lost the legs with some kind of a bionics technology. And at the other side, there is orthosis. Orthosis is supported body devices to correct the deformities. So this one is not to replace somebody else's leg or extremity, but to correct anything that is bent or the alignment is not correct. For example, for the scoliosis case in this picture, the degree of the curve is a 44 degree, and if we treat with the orthosis, then time by time the degree will reduce up to, at this case, is 29 degrees, so that it will give a better health for the patients. And for the other example, for the orthosis is devices to straighten the leg. For example, this boy has this O leg, and then we put the orthosis, and by the time the leg become more straight, and also give a lot of benefit to the patient. So that is the introductions to the devices. So the background why I want to make hazard identifications in the industry is because the market research report in 2020 said that the prosthesis orthosis business has a big potential market, and it increases up to 8.15 billion in 2017. So the devices is really high demand. And also Sarah Anderson in 2015 said increasing demand in the devices caused a lot of workload to the prosthesis orthotist professional. And those workloads increase the accident and health issue for the professional. This one is in line with the reports from the Australian Orthotic Prosthetic Associations that the professional work has close exposure with the hazardous materials like chemical liquids, chemical dust, fume, and etc. And besides of the hazardous material, the working process influences their health. And the other research from Pawita Sriariawong 2013 say that there are a lot of musculoskeletal disorder because of the work to the professional, to the prosthetist and orthotist. It came from like doing repetitive motions to manufacture the device, and also the hazards came from the machinery like vibrations. And Safe Work Australia said that the professional facing a lot of injuries and accidents in their workstations. So in 2000 to 2014, there were more than 1,300 compensation claims paid to the prosthetic orthotist because of accident. Well, actually, all of this health issue and this accident and injury could be minimized if the company or the industry applied risk management It will increase the safety in the workstations. And also this one is supported by Indonesian government regulations number 50 year 2012 that said risk management should be applied at the working place in order to minimize accident. And to have this risk management that you can start the process by doing the hazard identifications, risk assessments, risk analysis, risk and also risk control. And this one is should be applied in every industry in Indonesia, including in prosthetics orthotics industry. What is risk management? Actually, the risk management is kind of a management to increase the safety in the workstations. And then you can start to establishing the context, and also based on the Australia standard and New Zealand standard, you can start the process with the risk identifications, on risk analysis, risk evaluation, and also risk treatment. So after doing the risk identifications, we need to have some kind of a criteria to decide the how to assess the potential risks. And this one we can use likelihood level and severity rating to put a number or to assess each potential harm from hazard in the workstations. So comes to the research methodology. The research begin with the inspections on site. Here we do research on 4 sites, 2 hospital and 2 private company. This hospital is the National Referral Hospital in Indonesia, and the private company is the multinational company that has the biggest number of service of prosthetics and orthotics around Indonesia. And then we do the discussions with them about the current risk management, about the step of making prosthesis and orthoses, the accident report system, safety instruction, and standard operation procedure in every workstation. And after that, we identify the hazard and make the risk assessment. So there were 249 risks in every step of the process. So after that, we review the hazard with the occupational health and safety specialist together with the prosthetic orthotist professional. So after the hazard and risk assessments were validated by the expert, we asked another prosthetic orthotist experts to assess the risk based on likelihood level and severity rating. And after that, we analyze the result with Pareto methods. So the first is the hazard identification. We classify the process in non-manufacturing process and manufacturing process. Non-manufacturing process is the process that involves the patients, and manufacturing process is the process that do not involve patients. So for example, here in the non-manufacturing process, we need to make some kind of assessment and measurement, so that while we're doing the process, there will be a risk that, for example, the patients who has disease, airborne disease, for example, can infect the prosthesis.
You have 3 minutes left.
Okay, and this one is the risk assessment, including the expert criteria. We want the expert criteria to have international certifications from the ISPO and also have a license from Indonesia government. So here are the results. So based on the method and the Pareto analyze, there are 10 highest activities in the manufacturing process in the making of prosthesis and orthosis. In the manufacturing process, the process like mixing plaster of Paris powder with water has a very high risk value. So it means the risk is very high and can give a dangerous up to death to the prosthesis and orthosis. Right? Because this one is a chemical substances that which is a carcinogen, and if they exposure with this chemical for a long period of time, it will give bad effect to the health. And here are the list of the highest risk activity in the manufacturing process. From the hazard point of view, the chemical dust has the top hazard from the manufacturing process, and the least hazard came from the ergonomical hazard. While the highest risk activity in the non-manufacturing process is and the result from the Pareto method, there are 3 processes that has the highest risk. Again, this one is the apply plaster of Paris bandage in casting process, and also opening negative cast, and also fitting the prosthesis or orthosis socket to the patients.
1 minute left.
Yeah. So from the hazard percentage, the highest percentage came from the chemical dust, 34%, and then biological substances and ergonomical substances. So here's the summary that all the process actually has their own hazard and their own risk. So it means that we need to apply some risk management, not only from the hazard identification and risk assessments, but the whole risk management in a general applied to the industry to increase the safety. This one is the reference, and thank you. Yes. Do you mind to unmute your speaker?
All right, I guess that's the end of the presentations. Let's begin with the Q&A session. Do we have questions from the audience? Yes, Niken, please.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Rina, I want to ask about what is the next step of your research? I mean the further investigation to complete your whole research.
All right. Thank you, Niken, for the questions. So as I mentioned before, that the risk management is not only about the risk identifications and risk assessments. So in this research, the research is I would like to say some kind of a pilot. This one is not finished research because we still have this step, risk identification and risk assessment. So in the future investigations, I would like to have some kind of a risk analysis based on safety assessment system, whether that with the bow tie system or with HAZOP or with any other system that can analyze the risk. And after that, we also need to make some kind of a mitigations plan if the risk cannot be eliminated in the working place. So for example, how do we overcome the risk? What should we do before to prevent it? And if we cannot prevent it and the risk still there and give a bad effect to the worker, what's the mitigation system, or how to solve the problem by maybe make a modeling or conceptual framework to increase the safety system in the prosthetics and orthotics industry. I hope it answers your question.
Basically, your research is only focused on the worker, right?
Yes. No, actually, yes. The impact is specifically for the workers. So, in the first step and the second step, by doing the risk investigations and risk assessment.
Because I see in your previous picture that I see during the applying the prosthetic devices, there is also the patient.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Now, this one is actually from the literature review. There were a lot of paper that that including the patients in the safety management, but I only found like 4 papers that consider the worker. So it means that most of the papers worried about the patient and the worker is some kind of neglected.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions, Niken. I just want to have a clarification. So, based on your research, both manufacturing and non-manufacturing process, chemical dust is the most challenge in this research, the most hazardous risk. So, combining from the previous questions, this research still has a lot to offer, because when you complete the cycle of the risk management, so how those the current condition will cope with for example, the chemical dust. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, the chemical gas is the chemical gas is actually come from substances called plaster of Paris bandage. Plaster of Paris bandage is some kind of dust that when it has when it meets water, it will become hardened. They will become hard. So this one we use as how to say, most important materials in making prosthesis and orthosis, because if you see in this picture, this one we need to make a cast, or we need to apply the plaster of Paris bandage to the patient's leg in order to copy their leg, right? And this material cannot be substituted by another material.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do the people cope with the, for example, fitting with the patient's leg? I mean, because it has chemical dust, so how to avoid
actually
workers?
In my point of view, this the professional needs to wear APD, alat pelindung diri. Yes.
Yep.
To protect themselves. So, for example, they need to put masks and also gloves in order to protect their skin, and also to prevent the chemical dust come to the lung. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for the clarifications. You can conclude your presentation.
All right. Thank you very much for your attention and for the questions. I hope all of you can get these presentations today smoothly. And good luck for everyone. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Okay, you can stop sharing screen. Okay, I'll give the 5th attempt to the and Amalia paper titled influence factor to certifying good in Indonesia. Okay.
Hello, Chris.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
You can start.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Irvanu. Now I would like to tell you about my research. The title of my research is Influence Factor Analysis on Building Material Certification System with Ecolabel Indonesia. Next. I'm sorry, sir. There is no share screen pop-up in my computer. Can I re-log in? Sir?
You don't have any, I can hear. You don't have a screen share to your computer?
Oh, I have. Just wait. Sir, can you please allow me to do share screen?
Is there any difference with the slide we shared to you?
No. There's no difference, but there's no my presentation in the screen. I mean in the share, the screen that you share.
Okay. Wait a second. Okay, you can now share your screen. Aristio, you're still trying to present? Aristio? Okay, I guess we lose Aristio. No. Okay, Aristio, if you cannot share your presentation screen, I'll Aristio? Okay, I will postpone Aristio sessions for a second. Let's. Okay, okay. You can continue your resume your presentation.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yep, I can hear you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Rifan?
Yes. Since Aristio will relog in, I'll give the sessions this time to the 6 presenters, Fajar Ramadan, Leni Sagita Riantini, and Wisnu Isvara, with a paper entitled The Implementation of InVJ to Ensure Sustainability of Bridge Infrastructure in Indonesia.
Yes.
Okay, please welcome Fajar.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rifan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fajar Ramadan. I'm a master's student at Civil Engineering Department, University of Indonesia. In this occasion, and due to the outbreak of COVID-19, I would like to deliver my online presentation on the third Asia Pacific Conference, APCORISE 2020, of my paper entitled The Implementation of InVJ to Ensure Sustainability of Bridge Infrastructure in Indonesia. Next. Hello, next. Okay, first of all, I would like to talk about the background and purpose of my research. The development and improvement of national infrastructure increasingly growing rapidly. A bridge is a building that allows a road to cross river waterways, valleys, or cross other routes that are not of the same level. In general, a bridge functions to serve traffic flow well. So in 2018, from the pie diagram, there was 307,000 more kilometers from 537,000 kilometers of bridge in Indonesia in good condition, and 668,000 of bridge in moderate condition, 46,000 more of bridge in midly damaged condition, 9,000 kilometers of heavily damaged condition, and 6,000 more kilometers bridge has collapsed. Therefore, This research have a purpose to, the purpose of the research are: first, to controlling and managing bridge performance. The General of Highway Directorate uses a bridge inspection system. The second, following recent technology, the Research and Development Center for Roads and Bridge of the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, Balitbang Pusjatan Kementerian PUPR, developed a bridge inspection application called Bridge Visual Inspection, or better known as InVJ. InVJ application for users at the General of Highway Directorate and towards the sustainability of bridge infrastructure in Indonesia. Next. Next. Okay, for the methods, the problem of this research is raised from the discussion and resumed by gathering information from several literatures, books, journals, and internet media about the bridge management system. Issues raised in this paper is the history of the development of bridge inspection in Indonesia concerning the bridge management system 1992. The use of the InVJ is a development carried out by the Research and Development Center for Road and Bridge of the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, Balitbang Pusjatan Kementerian PUPR, to get actual and reliable data from the bridge condition in the site. Next. Okay, this is the result and discussion. What is bridge inspection? Bridge inspection was carried out from the beginning since the bridge was new and continued for the life of the bridge. The purpose of inspecting the bridge is to ensure that the bridge is still functioning safely and that certain measures must be taken to maintain and repair it regularly and continually. And from the InVJ, we know that the inventory inspection are performed on new bridge or when existing bridge have no appropriate database. This inspection also identified records and reports of any new defect that have not been picked up during the construction period. Also observes and record any change in the surrounding environment or site. Next. Okay, this is the bridge management system flowchart. InVJ, in which all data input can be done digitally by downloading the application through a mobile phone in a Play Store. From the picture shows that the bridge condition data will be stored in the database, as data recording at any time can be used as comparative data for the future. The ease of data retrieval in the field is the aim of this application so that it can facilitate bridge inspectors in evaluating the condition of a bridge. Next. This is the display of InVJ application for the mobile phone. Each bridge damage that it examine will be documented and filled in data according to the available points, the type of damage, case of damage, measurement up to the follow of the condition of the bridge. You can see the middle of the picture. InVJ can automatically process the S&R evaluation criteria based on the damage condition and the cause of the existing damage. Next. This is the hierarchy of bridge management. A detailed inspection is carried out to accurately assess the condition of a bridge. Detailed examination aims to record the condition of elements at the highest level, and this level, all elements have the same condition. This highest level elements graded is level 3, or this picture L3. In most situations, the elements must be graded at level 4 or level 5. Next. Okay, this is the bridge condition of evaluation parameters. The table from the slide is the assessment of ranking parameters is made by answering question with yes, one, or no, null, with S and R parameter, which are accompanied by a instruction for classification according to appearance and cause of the damage. As a result, it is relatively accurate for ranking S and R parameters. The table guides the damage classification criteria and evaluation for ranking S and R parameter for each damage from the breach element. The parameter F represents the element's function, while the parameter P represents the effect of the element of damage the other nearby elements in the structural system. Next. From the table,
You have 3
this is
minutes
the
left.
planning program for assessing breach condition. The program and planning of roads and bridges, including technical policies, is generally the authority of the central, provincial, and district or city government at each level of the road. The condition of breach component is determined subjectively, that is, the inspector uses the assessment and the technical experience engineering to determine the overall condition of the 5 main components of the base and the bottom building in each pen. The condition of visual damage to breach element for planning program. And next. Yeah, the conclusion of this research. InVJ is already used at the moment and has been running for 2 years since 2018. InVJ is useful for users in conducting breach survey. In general, input data using InVJ is more practical and accurate than filling form manually, so the data stored is more actual. Besides, the evaluation of the level of breach condition with the planning program of assessing breach condition shows quite good and influent results. Further developing to examine the condition needed to meet Indonesian current requirements to support the era of decentralized government, with the main problem being limited human resources in collecting data fast, accurate, and reducing human problems. Next. Thank you. This is the end of my presentation. If you have any question.
All right, thank you very much for the presentations. I guess that's marks the beginning of Q&A sessions. Do we have questions from the audience?
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Yes, please,
For Mr.
Rina.
Fajar. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Fajar, for your presentation. It's really
Yeah.
nice. So I want to ask the accurate numbers of this in VJ applications. How accurate is it to detect problems in the bridge system? Thank you.
Okay, how the accurate for the point in VJ? Uh, in VJ, we have the system that application you can input the data from the mobile phone, and the application you can automatically the point the point the, for example, maybe I can explanation about the, okay, first, in the system, condition flows are given at level 5, level 4, or level 3. In the initial assessment of an element and default is given at level 5. Can show the bridge instead of bridge on previous this. In this system, condition follows are given at level 5. No. Next. Yep, this. Okay. In this system, condition follows are given at level 5. You can see that level 5 is the lowest level. Level 4 or level 3. If the initial assessment of an element individual is given at level 5, then group of similar elements are assessed at a higher level, namely level 4 and level 3, by giving the same question about the group as a whole. This was done to simplify the inspection procedure and reduce the number of elements reported. So in detail inspection, the bridge structure is divided into a level 5, into level elements. The highest level is level 1, which is the bridge itself as a whole, and the lowest level is level 5, namely individual elements with a specific location as the right river bank, the third pile on the second pile, and so on. So when you put the point at level 5 and the condition of the bridge at the same condition as a pole bridge. So this automatically form the system, the application.
Okay, so the first input will is the basic point to identify the accurateness of the application.
Maybe is that for the future research, I think, because the that's a simple answer. This is a future research for the accurate the point to put the application in the application.
Okay, thank you very much for the
Yes.
answer.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the audience? I have a little bit additional questions about this. Perhaps since the research is still developed, it will be fruitful if you can depict how the positions of InVJ, other bridge management systems, and it can connect with the previous questions about, you can talk about in terms of the accuracy, how accurate is its measurements. So perhaps kind of more extensive literatures assessments on specific bridge management systems. So in which positions InVJ is better than other bridge management systems?
Maybe InVJ is more quick assessment for the other assessment, because the InVJ you can bring the application in a mobile phone. So better than you get a lot of form and manually you can check and the list of the damage of structure in a bridge, and you after the office you put and you input the data from the to the computer. So the InVJ is a very simple and quick assessment for the inspection bridge in site.
So it's more practical.
Yeah, it's more practical. Yes.
And in terms of the accuracy itself, be any
it's
additional methods to assess the accuracy of the assessments, the quick assessments?
In my opinion, is the accuracy is almost same for the other assessment, because this is adopting from the bridge management system 1992, that is all of the bridge assessment that use the bridge management system in 1992. So this is the basically this
making it,
yeah, this is basically based on the bridge management system that all of country use that bridge management system.
All right, I think that's all from me. You can conclude the presentations.
Okay, to end my presentation, I would like you to do this one thing. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope I have shared what be beneficial for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to re-welcome Aristio Ridwan Rais for resuming his presentations with Dr. Amalia Susianti in analyzing the influence factor to certifying building material with eco-label in Indonesia. Okay. Yeah, Aristio, can you hear us? You don't need to unmute the mic. Aristio? Please unmute the mic. think Ristio is lifting the meetings. All right, Aristio.
Okay.
You can resume your presentations.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna start from the first page. Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Vanu. Now I would like to tell you about my research. The title of the research is Influence Factor Analysis on Building Material Certification System with Equitable Indonesia. Next, please. Sir? Okay. So there is a 6 chapter in this presentation. Next. Next, please. Next. Okay. Next. Okay. Before I start to tell you about the background of this research, I would like to tell you about what is eco-label and the difference with the eco-labeling. Eco-label is basically a label that used to identify products that conform to recognized environmental standard based on Oxford's dictionary. Second, eco-label is marking or labeling that provides information and preference about the environmental friendliness of a product based on consideration of its life cycle. This is from the Global Eco-labeling Network, which is the center organization of all organizations that issued an eco-label in all of the country. And the eco-labeling is the practice of marking products with a distinctive label so that consumer knows that their manufacturer conforms to recognized environmental standard. And based on again a voluntary eco-label voluntary method of environmental performance certification and labeling that is practiced around the world. Okay, next please. Sir. Sir, next please. Okay. Previous, sir, I'm sorry. The first is, okay. First of all, the research background is the SDG or the Sustainable Development Goals, especially number 12. Sustainable Development Goals are a global action plan agreed by world leaders, including Indonesia, to end poverty, reduce inequality, and protect the environment. The SDG contains 17 objectives, 169 targets, which are expected to be achieved by 2030. The point of the SDG number 12 is to encourage many companies, especially large-scale and transnational companies, to adopt and spread sustainable practices that are going to reduce their environmental impact and to assess the life cycle of its product. Okay, next, please. Okay. Secondly, the research background is the popularity of eco-label is increasing in many developed countries based on the research that contemporary and some of the function of this eco-label inform the customer about the environmental friendliness of product. Also, is a cheaper method to drive many companies to apply more environmental friendly production method. And in some of the country that already has developed a good eco-labeling practice, eco-label become one of the requirements to have government stimulants such as tax deduction. But eco-label and eco-labeling is still new things in Indonesia. That's why there is still few companies that accept and has this eco-label. Next. Okay. The third is why building material. In Indonesia, we know President Joko Widodo issued a program that called 1 Million Housing Program, or in bahasa called Program 1 Juta Rumah. That in his second era of government, Presiden Joko Widodo Presiden Joko Widodo targeted 3.9 million housing for Indonesian people. Second, also Presiden Joko Widodo issued the a new project to develop new capital city in Indonesia. Imagine how much building material will be produced to meet these two projects, and imagine how many energy will be consumed. If the company doesn't apply a good environmental policy, how much will pollution that affect the surrounding environment? Okay, next. Basically, there are three ecolabels in Indonesia that could do a labeling to a building material and product. Each of them has their own pros and cons. Next. First of all, it's called as an ecolabel that is launched by the Ministry of Environmental and Forestry of Indonesia in 2006. Focus on life cycle assessment of product. There are 11 product categories and the marking using a checklist. Next. Second is Standard Industri Hijau, launched by the Ministry of Industry of Indonesia in 2015. Focus on production process. There are 17 types of industry in the certification system, but has only 5 levels of certificate from level 1 to level 5. Next. The last is Green Label Indonesia, launched by Green Product Council Indonesia, an NGO and a non-profit organization in 2015. Focus on life cycle assessment on building material and product. There are currently 13 type of industries in the certification scheme, but it's just only has 3 level of certification from gold to bronze. Next. Next. Okay, the research question of this question is what's the factor that drives a company to register its product with environmentally friendly certification scheme, and the risk goal is to seek the factor that drive or hold a company from certifying its product to an environmentally friendly certification scheme. Next. Next. Okay. The method that I use in this research is questionnaire that consists of 23 questions, which is spread to the building materials company, and the result will be processed with the structured equation modeling method. Okay, next.
You have 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps you can go straight to the discussion.
I'm sorry?
Perhaps you can go straight to the speed up the speaking, or go straight to the discussion.
Can you go to the result slide?
Okay.
Slide number 34. Page 34. Okay. The results of this research is the indicator on certification cost variable has the biggest collinearity value. Therefore, one of those indicators should be removed. I removed the certification cost to continue the calculation, and the indicator IC2 or the intention to be certified has the biggest value too, among others. Therefore, IC2 should be removed. There are only 4 significant hypotheses from all 16 hypotheses proposed. The result, the higher company satisfaction means the higher certificate reputation. The higher company intention to be certified means the higher actual certificate used by the company. The higher company eagerness to achieve a better reputation from environmental friendly building materials means the higher company intention to be certified. The last, the higher company eagerness to achieve a better reputation from environmentally friendly building materials means higher company satisfaction. Next. The conclusion and the future research. The conclusion are the methodology used to gather the data is a questionnaire, and the structural equation modeling is used to analyze The model improves the significance of the hypothesis that is already been proposed. Second, and through this research, the result could be concluded that company reputation variable is the main factor that drives a company to certificate its own product to an environmentally friendly certification scheme. Third, this result is very reasonable because eco-label in Indonesia is still new, and those who already accept and apply it in its own company policies will need a better acknowledgement from the market. Thus, the result also stated in that the research conduct in 2015, which are most of the factors that drive a company to certify their product with eco-label SIM comes from an external factor rather than an internal factor. Next, the future research. It will be better if in the future, if similar research conduct with more company as a first sequence. Second, similar research conduct with more homogeneous industry or company. So the results of the research will be more relatable for each type of industry. Third, similar research conduct with different type of products such as consumer product, fisheries, and forestry product. Okay, next. Okay, this is the reference. Next.
Okay, I think that's all.
For the any question?
Perhaps I'll limit the Q&A sessions for this session. Okay, Virus, you have a questions, please activate your video.
Okay. My question is, you just explained about several type of certification like Green Label Indonesia, SNE Eco Label, and I forgot the other one. You explained three of the certification. Are the companies in Indonesia need to have all of the three certification, or they can pick one of the certification, depends on their type of industry? How they choose which certification they need to have?
Okay, Aristio, did you hear the questions? Aristio, are you still there? Aristio, did you hear the questions?
I think.
Okay, I'll read. Please allow. I'll write the questions in the meeting chat. So, how the company Indonesia could pick one from three label companies? Is that your questions? Virus?
Yeah. Are the companies in Indonesia need to have all of the certification SIM, like just been explained? There are three types. There are SNE Eco Label, Indonesia, and I forgot the other one. Do they need to have all of those three certification? And if not, how did they choose to which certification they need to have?
Okay, everyone. While waiting for Aristio to answer the questions, we already late for schedule, next schedule, but I want to remind everyone to activate their videos for closing session. So we'll have photo sessions this time. And Naif, as session assistants, will capture those moments. Okay, please activate the videos.